Do you want to learn how to use OBS Studio? Well, you're in luck. This video is going to be a comprehensive tutorial where I go over all the necessary settings that you need to know to get you started streaming or making YouTube content. So stay tuned. All right, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and download OBS. So I'm gonna do OBS Studio. And be careful what links you click on if you're searching this in Google. I've heard some people will post fake links to download OBS and it turns out to be a virus. So the website you want is obsproject.com. Okay. Now in here, the OBS Studio is available for both Windows and Mac and Linux. So depending on what system you have, obviously you're going to want to click on the right button. And you might get this warning saying this type of file may harm your computer because it's an executable. Do you want to keep that file? Just say keep. And then you can go ahead and click on the executable. If it doesn't show up in your taskbar, it should be in your downloads folder. So just go and look there. Okay, now it's going to say, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Click yes. And then this is the beginning of the installation. So here we'll just click on next. This is just the license information. You can read through this. Click next. If you want to change the destination folder, you can do that here by clicking the browse. Otherwise, you can just click on install. It should take probably about a minute to a couple minutes to finish the installation process. Okay, it's almost done. Completed. Okay. So we're going to leave this launch OBS Studio checked. We're going to say finish, and it should automatically open OBS Studio. Okay, so here you're presented with the auto configuration wizard. So it's going to ask you what you're going to use OBS primarily for. So whether it's streaming or if you're just recording videos to say make YouTube content. I'm going to set this up assuming that most people will use OBS Studio for streaming. So I'm going to leave optimized for streaming, recording is secondary, this radio button checked. You can always go back and rerun this auto configuration wizard and set it up for recording if that's what you'd like. We're going to leave this box or this radio button checked. We're going to hit next. Now here it's asking you what is your base canvas resolution. That's referring to the screen that you're using at the moment. So for me, it's at 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to leave this option here selected. And FPS is just how many frames per second you want, either 60 or 30, but prefer 60 when possible. We're going to leave that. If you want, you can set it to a specific FPS. You can either set 30 or 60. Obviously, the higher the number, the more it's going to tax your hardware on your computer. So if you find that you have buffering issues or video quality issues, you can always reduce the FPS to help relieve some of that. So we're going to leave it here on either 60 or 30, but prefer 60 when possible. We're going to click next. Now here is where you can actually log in and sync your streaming platform. And they do offer Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and a couple of other ones. Most people, I think, stream on Twitch. So if you have a Twitch account, here's where you'd want to set it up. You would select Twitch on here, and then you would use this connect account button. You can also use a stream key. This is how you used to be able to sync your account, but now OBS has integrated their software with all these streaming platforms, so it's a little easier to sync your account. We're going to go ahead and connect our Twitch account. It's going to open up this authorization box where it's going to ask you to log in to your Twitch account. Now, if you do have two-factor authentication, it's going to ask you for the token. So for me, I have it set up to where if anybody tries to log in, you need to provide a token that gets sent to my phone in the form of a text message. So I'm going to check my phone, get the token, and enter that. So and then I would just leave this box checked. Remember this computer for 30 days, assuming you're going to be streaming for a while. Then you can hit submit. And there we go. So we've connected our Twitch account. You can leave these two boxes checked. And then now you can hit next. So it's going to run some tests to check for the recommended bandwidth. And it'll give you recommendations based on your hardware, whether you're using a laptop or you're using a desktop computer. And it also will check the nearest server. So right now it's looking like it's checking a Chicago server. Okay, there we go. So it's recommending a video bitrate of 6,000. I believe that's the max that Twitch allows. For streaming encoder, it's just saying use your hardware streaming encoder. And for the base canvas, remember we set that to 1920 by 1080. And it's saying that the output resolution, in other words, what you're sending over to Twitch, that you should scale that to 1280 by 720. So this is 720p at 30 frames per second. Okay, that is what OBS Studio has determined based on my hardware to be the recommended settings. It doesn't mean you have to go with it. That's just what the auto configuration wizard is telling you. You can always change it later. So we're going to go ahead and apply these settings. And I'm going to close these boxes because okay, close that. All right, we went full screen here. Now, before we start adding scenes and sources, we want to make sure that the settings are correct. So we're going to go over to settings. So you can either open it here, or you can go that file settings. And so I'm just going to scroll through all of these different tabs so that you guys can see how I have my settings set up. So for the general tab, you don't really need to change anything in here. I'm going to go through all of these. Yeah, I didn't change anything in the general tab. Okay, we're going to go over to stream. Now here, if you didn't set up your stream, your account, using the auto configuration wizard, and here's where you can set it. You can log into whatever streaming platform you use, and you can also disconnect your account from here. So since we've already done that, we're going to go ahead and move on to output. Now, right now, we have output mode set to simple. Now, this just gives you one box for streaming, one box for recording. And here, the video bitrate, this is what the auto configuration wizard deemed as the most effective based on the hardware. So we're going to leave that alone. You can expand this to see more options. If you change this to advanced, you now have a streaming tab, a recording tab, an audio tab, and a replay buffer tab. So for streaming, again, this is where you're going to select what encoder you want to use. Now, for me, since I'm using a laptop, X264 is basically, it's going to use the CPU on my laptop to do the encoding. Again, for rate control, CBR just stands for constant bit rate. Now, I don't know why I changed this to 2500. We're going to change that to 6000 because that's what the recommendation was based on the configuration wizard. We'll go over to the recording tab. And here, if you're just going to record a video, then this is the recording format it's going to use to save those videos. So by default, it records to an MKV file. I like to change this to MP4 just because it's easier for editing, and you can basically import MP4 files into any software you use for video editing. You'll get this warning saying that, you know, if you change it to MP4 and for some reason things get corrupted, you may not recover that file. But I've never had OBS crash where I've had a file that wasn't recoverable. So I'm comfortable setting this to MP4. That way it saves you a step of not having to convert MKV files over to MP4 files. Under audio, just leave the audio bitrate at 160. I think these are just all the different tracks and everything's set to 160. And then replay buffer, I don't have that selected. Under audio, here is where you can change all the audio settings. As far as sample rate, you just want to match whatever your microphone is. So for me, my microphone is a 48 kilohertz microphone. So there's only two selections here, or two options. So I'm going to stick with 48 kilohertz because that's just what my microphone is. For desktop audio, I just leave it at default. All these you can disable. And if you disable everything, then I'll show you how to set everything up in your scenes under sources. So we'll go ahead and disable all of these just to avoid any confusion. So all these under global audio devices, you can just set to disable. Meters and advanced, all this, we're just going to leave it alone. And then hotkeys, we're going to leave that alone. So let's go over to video. So here, again, this is where you can change your base canvas resolution. So again, this should match whatever your monitor is. So right now I'm on a 1080p monitor. So my base resolution is 1920 by 1080. You can change the output. So when we ran the wizard, it recommended the output resolution to be 720p, but you can change this to whatever you want. So if you wanted to output to 1080p, you could change that to 1080p. All it is just going to tax your hardware a little more, and you just have to be mindful and be checking if you're dropping frames. For the downscale filter, I just left it at bicubic. And then here again, here's where you can change your frames per second. Right now it's set at 30. We'll just leave it at 30. Hotkeys, I don't have any hotkeys set up, so this is all blank, but this is where you can set up your hotkeys. And then under advanced, I didn't change anything in here, so we'll just scroll through this so you guys can see everything, and you can pause the video if you need to look at something in case you make changes and need to go back. Okay, so that takes care of all the settings. So we're going to hit apply. Okay, so now we're back with our brand new layout here, and we want to start adding scenes. So the first scene we're going to add, we're just going to call it scene 2. And then we're going to start adding our sources. So like I mentioned earlier, the first thing you want to do is you're going to add a microphone. So you're going to go to audio input capture. You're going to name it whatever you want. So I'll just say mic. And then you're going to select what mic you want to use. So that you should see your microphone show up in this list. So I have a Blue Yeti microphone. So that's what I'm going to select here. And we're going to hit OK. Okay, so you should see your mic down here in the audio mixer. Now, I don't have the settings set up for this mic yet, so you can see that my mic is peaking. I do have a video showing you how to set up the audio filters. There's a link in the description for that, and you'll also see the card that shows up at the top. So check that video out. It'll show you how to prevent your audio from peaking like mine is right now. But it's okay, we're not using this audio for this purpose. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get our video to show up. So this could be one of two things. You can either use a capture card. So if you're streaming from, say, your console, then you'll need a capture card, and then you'll bring in that video and that audio from the capture card. But if you're just going to be gaming off your computer, then you can do that as well. And so the easiest way to do it is come down here to the sources, and you're just going to select window capture. And then you can name it whatever you'd like, and then hit OK. And in this window here, this drop down, you can select what window you want to have displayed. Now, another way you can do this, instead of a window capture, you can do a display capture. There are differences. So when you select window capture, that's the only window that your viewers will see. So if you were to tab out and say you bring up a YouTube video, your viewers won't be able to see that. That's where display capture comes into play. If you use display capture, then whatever display you choose is what your viewers are going to see. So if you're playing a game and you have that game on this display that you specify, your viewers will see that. If you tab out of that game and you put up, a browser, an internet browser, and you're playing a YouTube video, your viewers will see that. So those are the two ways that you can share your screen. Now, right now I have capture method set to automatic. And here the display, it's actually asking you, if you have multiple displays, what display do you want to use? So for this, we're going to just say display 1. And then if you want your viewers to actually see your mouse, then you need to have this box checked. Okay. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now you can see right now the way this was added is out of the bounds of my preview window. The reason for that is because my base canvas is set to 1080p, but my monitor that I'm using right now for this video is a 1440p monitor. So the aspect ratio is not correct. The easiest way to fix that is you can right click, go to transform, and then you can say fit to screen. Now it'll rescale the video input that you have. So for me, the display capture, it'll fit your base canvas resolution. Okay. Now there are other things you can add. If you have a camera, you can add a camera, you can add a video capture device, and then you can put it anywhere you want. If you want to lock something so that it doesn't move, so right now I can click on this and then I can actually move it, right? It's not locked. The way you prevent that from accidentally moving something is you hit these locks here. So if I hit the lock on display capture, I can no longer move it. So if I accidentally clicked on this window, I won't move things out of place. Same thing with your camera. If you have a camera in here, you accidentally click on the camera and drag it, you can prevent that by using these locks. If you want to disable something so that it doesn't show up, you can use these little eyes. So if I disable these two, then you won't see anything. Same thing with the mic. If you don't want to have the mic show up in the audio mixer, just disable it. Okay, now keep in mind that the sources that you've added in here, you can share those same sources across different scenes. So you don't have to re-add the same source to all these different scenes, because the different scenes, you have to set them up how you want. But the quickest way you can do it, say you want to add your mic to scene 1, right? You could just click on it, Control C, go over to scene, Control V. Now you've got your mic. Same thing, if you want to copy over the display capture, Control C, go over the first scene, Control V. Now you have your display capture. Now because we just added these to a new scene, everything is added with a default selection on these things. So again, if you don't want to move it, you have to lock it in place. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to show you guys the differences between display capture and Windows capture. So I'm going to turn on display capture so you can see that I have a game running right now in the background. I'm going to turn off display capture. I'm going to turn on window capture. You'll see it's the same exact thing, right? But here's the difference. I'm going to turn display capture back on, and I'm going to minimize the game. And you'll see that now you're seeing my desktop. Now I'm going to toggle back over to Windows capture, and you're still seeing the game. So even though I can't see the game, because I've specified what window I want to capture, your viewers will only see that window. So I could have anything else up on my screen right now. I could have a browser going. I could be looking at a video. It doesn't matter. Your viewers would only see what you've specified for this window capture. So right now I've specified this application. Okay. And obviously you can select whatever application you want. You can add multiple window captures into your sources and then toggle them on and off like I'm doing here. But I just wanted to show you guys the differences between Windows capture and display capture so you have a sense of what you're sending out when you're streaming. Now let's talk about audio. Right now, I can't hear the game, okay? Your viewers can't hear the game. So what you have to do is you have to add an audio output capture. An audio input capture, remember, that's if you're setting up a microphone. When you want to send audio out to your viewers, then you have to add an audio output capture. So we're going to select that. I'm just going to leave it named audio output capture. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to ask me what device I want to select. And this is important here. Whatever device you're using to listen to the audio. So for me, I've got earbuds in right now. Okay, so I have to select whatever device you're using to listen to the game or to whatever application you're running. So for me, it's named speakers. So I'm going to select speakers. I'm going to hit OK. And now you'll see that down here in the audio mixer, it added this audio output capture. And now your viewers, because you can see these bars here are moving, your viewers will now be hearing the game sounds from the game. So that's how, that's the differences between a Windows capture and a display capture. And then that's how you add your audio into your sources. And because you've specified what device you want, if you're using a display capture, then if you are playing a game, your viewers will hear the game. If you toggle out, you tab out of your game and you put say a YouTube video up on your screen, as long as you can hear it in your device, whatever device you've specified, your viewers will also hear that. Okay, now the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys is if you are going to be streaming, and if you are streaming on Twitch, and you've already linked your account, remember you got to link your streaming account here, then you have the ability of adding these docs. So if you want to add your chat, you can do that, and you can put this anywhere you want. You can add your stream information, and you can actually change your stream information before you go live. And you can put this anywhere you want. You can add Twitch stats. You can add your activity feed. So you have a lot of options that you can do, that you can use to your advantage, and you can put this, wherever you want while you're streaming. If you want to make a change, you can make a change right before you go live, before you hit the start streaming button. So that's it, guys. That's all I had for you. I really hope that you guys learned something. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments. I reply to everybody. And with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.